So, our next two speakers are all the way from sunny Nottingham. I have Clare Llewellyn and Evie Clegg. Clare is a critical care sister at Nottingham University Hospitals Trust and is the nursing lead for maternal critical care in the Trust. And Evie Clegg is a clinical nurse educator within the intensive care and high dependency units at Nottingham University Trust, and she's been a CNE for 4 years. So there's these lovely long bios of really important stuff, but I want to hear what they have to say. So I'm going to, you're over there. You're going to have to do sort of a leapfrog thing over the chairs. It's obstacle courses and lots of stuff going on here. The speakers have to be very agile. Okay, the floor's yours. Thank you.
Lovely. Hello. So we're here to talk to you about implementing the national maternal critical care competencies for nurses, or this is how we did it in Nottingham. So the aims of our programme were to improve maternal critical care knowledge and skills amongst crit care nurses, to improve women's and their families' experience of maternal critical care, to provide a development opportunity for some of our senior critical care staff, and to support improvement in our compliance with GPIC standards. So I was going to start by giving a bit of context, which actually lots of the other speakers have done a lot of already today. So I'll sort of skim over this just to give you the context in Nottingham particularly. Basically, we were in a position with increasing numbers of women requiring critical care during pregnancy and the postpartum period. And the physical distances between our critical care and maternity units at Nottingham University Hospitals puts us in a similar position to many other trusts across the country in balancing those needs of the maternal critical care patients, so both the maternity aspects of their care and the critical care aspects. Sometimes difficult decisions have to be made about the safest place to care for these women, as we've heard talked about a lot already today. In Nottingham, we do offer level 2 care on labour suite, where a critical care nurse goes to labour suite and delivers care alongside the midwife. But some patients, for example, if they need intubation or they're very poorly, they still have to come to us in the critical care unit. And obviously, when they come to us in the critical care unit, they don't get the same level of midwifery and obstetric input that they would if they were being cared for in a maternity setting. These patients aren't a huge proportion of our workload, which makes the acquisition and maintenance of skills around their care really challenging. At NUH, across our 2 hospitals, we see about 40 to 50 patients a year who are maternal critical care patients, out of a total of about 3,500 admissions. We have a team of around 500 nurses, so that means that individual nurses encounter these patients relatively infrequently. Just for your sort of interest, roughly half of our patients we care for on labour suite and half end up coming to us in critical care. So when we started delivering critical care on labour suite, we implemented a 1-day study day programme that staff would attend before they are put on the list of staff that can go down and deliver that level 2 care. And that's updated 3 yearly, but it gives a fairly superficial, brief overview of specifics of maternal critical care. Also in Nottingham, we sit within the East Midlands Critical Care Network, and we have been working collaboratively with other trusts in our region looking at this issue of the competence of critical care nurses and working together on that too. At the outset of this project, there were some key national documents, which we've heard lots about already today, emphasising that need for collaborative working and cross-specialty education and training to promote team working and the sharing of knowledge and skills. We'd been looking particularly closely at the Intensive Care Society GPIC standards that Debbie mentioned earlier, looking at how we can ensure that we're implementing those standards within our hospitals. There's a chapter there that sets out particular standards for maternity patients, which we have been striving to deliver through the development of a local maternal crit care guideline. We work closely with colleagues from across the specialties, from midwifery, obstetrics, anaesthesia, theatres, neonatal and critical care, to develop those processes to make sure that they will work within our organisation. But in developing and implementing that guideline, it became clear that we needed to develop some maternal critical care nurses who could really champion and embed this guideline and provide nursing leadership in this area. Much of it covered practical stuff that needs to happen when these patients come to us in critical care, and that stuff needs to be initiated by critical care nurses that know how those processes work and know who to contact for everything. As we've also heard a lot about today, patient experience is also a really important aspect of maternal crit care. Hayley's really powerful story really shows the importance of this. A stay in critical care can lead to separation from baby, delayed bonding, gaps in memories about the first hours and days of life, and difficulty establishing breastfeeding. All of this can lead to long-term psychological harm, which is so important to consider in the care that we give to our patients. As the constant presence at the patient's bedside, the critical care nurse is really well placed to influence these aspects of care, as long as they understand their importance and what practical things they can do to support and minimise the potential trauma of the experience. So it's them having an understanding of where to signpost women and what services there are within maternity that we can get involved, but they need to recognise those needs in order to ask for that support. Improve knowledge and confidence. This was evidenced through self-assessed or self-rated knowledge and confidence scores before the programme and after. So before the programme, they were averaging around 3 out of 6 for both knowledge and confidence, and at the end of the programme that had increased to around 5 out of 6. The whole cohort came out with their maternal specialist competency signed off and a portfolio to evidence their learning and its application in practice. That's our little cohort. Very pleased with ourselves. It's important to emphasise that this programme was not about trying to turn critical care nurses into midwives. That would take a lot more time and a very different programme. It was about equipping these nurses to recognise what's normal and what's not in the maternal patient, and therefore when, how and who to escalate to, giving them an understanding of how the application of critical care nursing might be different in this patient group, and finally giving them some understanding of maternal patient experience and how they as critical care nurses can positively impact that. Our first cohort, we hope, will be in a position to support future cohorts of nurses through the programme, and we're looking too at how we can support others in our network, our critical care network, with that too. We acknowledge that the programme became a substantial course requiring a considerable amount of work from each participant, but we believe this was necessary to ensure that depth of knowledge and skill acquisition. We're now working with Nottingham Trent University to have the course accredited as an optional specialist degree or master's module, so that the effort involved can be properly recognised and potentially the course could be offered out more widely. As Evie's mentioned, our nurses have been empowered to progress our continued project work too. This includes our continued provision of Level 2 care on labour suite, establishment of our link team with critical care, CCOT and maternity colleagues, development of our maternal crit care guideline, which we're currently updating, our local audit work, where we're looking at that compliance with the national GPIC standards and also with our local guideline, collaboration on interprofessional education, so we've been supporting our midwifery colleagues with their education for enhanced maternal care too, and also patient follow-up and feedback, and we also run twice yearly multidisciplinary data and cases meetings where we review our maternal crit care workload and discuss interesting cases and try and take learning from them. Our compliance with GPIC standards has improved, although we can't really attribute that just to the education programme. That's got to be attributed to that whole load of maternal critical care MDT project work that's going on. We've also received some positive patient feedback, but again, I think that has to be attributed to the whole project. But ultimately, we hope that this programme is improving patient safety.